Here come the Lords, here come the Lords, here come the Lords. Welcome everybody. Sean Terry back at you with Junkie Points. Let's hear it. Give it up. For me, you know what I'm saying? You know, I don't have a lot of subscribers out there or viewers, nothing like that. If any, I'm not worried about that. You know, I'm just voicing my own opinion right here live. It go to whoever. I don't, you know, I don't. I do this for me. You know, I've said that before. I think I do this for me. There's something. What a junkie like myself does. Is doing rather. You know, I'm just here giving my perspective to whatever audience can have. You know, I will appreciate anyone, being, dog, cat, anything that picks up the listen or just tap on it and say, who is this guy? Anyways, I'm Sean Terry, sports junkie extraordinaire. I'm coming to you today, August 3rd, 14th. Russell Westbrook retires. Give it up. I'm giving it up for that. The great Russell Westbrook. I'm going to miss this brother because, like I said, I am a sports junkie. Been a huge basketball fan. I've been a big fan of Russell Westbrook since I seen him at UCLA, you know, leading them to a Final Four. I think it was back in like 2008. I think they went like the two straight Final Fours. I think they lost to Florida. And, you know, when Florida won, it was back-to-back championships. I don't think they went to the title game, but they won that Final Four a couple of times. And I remember Westbrook. You know, I never really thought he would be at this level, to be honest with you, because they had other great players on that team, and they just gelled together. But Westbrook, he just always been that go hard kind of ball player, and never cheated the game. Never cheated the game. Like I said, you know, I never had a chance to go and see him live. But, you know, I watched many games of Russell Westbrook, and he's just been one of them players who left it all out there, never cheated the game, gave it 200% effort, never cheated the game, never just randomly took games off for fucking rest, never did that. You know, if you paid money to come see him, whether he had a bad game or a good game, to me, and I say this about a lot of ball players, to me, you know, because you're gonna have bad games. They're gonna be bad games, but that effort, that 110% effort, 200% effort is always there. You know, that's what Russell Westbrook gave. I would have paid to see him any day of the week, to be honest with you. You know, it's just unfortunate I didn't get the chance to see him live. No, I did not. No, I'm thinking in my brain, no, I never did go see a game live, Oklahoma City Thunder, you know. But like I said, I watched a lot of his games with the Thunder, you know, averaging a triple-double. You know, he was a triple-double waiting to happen. You know, when, you know, some people say, you know, he would be, how do you say, stat chasing. No, ain't no, he's playing ball. Ain't no stat chasing. When you're playing ball, you are stat chasing because you're trying to help your team win. I mean, and he's not pushing people, his teammates, or out the way, or pushing people down, babies down to get loose rebounds, or fucking just randomly doing obscure shit. Like they say, I'm not even gonna say taking bad shots, because yeah, he did take some bad shots, but he wasn't doing that to pad his stats. He was doing that wholeheartedly, really, to give his team a chance to win. I mean, everybody takes bad shots. Everybody has taken bad shots. He wasn't a pure shooter, and a lot of times he got crucified for that unfairly. I never looked at it that way. Yes, he may have took bad shots, but at times, those shots may have felt good at the time he was taking them. No, to him, and in the game context, people want to critique because, hey, we're not out on the floor. But in the game context, he still felt that those were the shots or passes or plays he had to make to give his team the best chance to win. And he did that every single second he was on the floor. I'm, like I said, one of my favorite players of all time, Russell Westbrook. Never cheated the game. Never. Former league MVP. He's been to the finals. I think he averaged a triple-double for like not only one season. I want to say about, I don't have the information right here in front of me, about 2 or 3 seasons at least. So props to him, getting the rebounds. There's an art to getting rebounds. He's a point guard. He's a point guard. So people say, well, he take bad shots, he should pass. He led the league in assists. That's not a selfish ball player. You got starting point guards in the league now. Shoot. They get 3 assists. It's like fucking another world to them. This man routinely got 10, 15, at times 20 assists, or 20 rebounds. People don't realize how hard it is to get rebounds. Have you ever played? I don't know any basketball players or people have played basketball, have played the game of 21, where it's basically you against whole another group of players competing to see the first one to get 21 points. The game, okay, it's like this. It starts off one person shooting from the foul line. It may be anywhere between, it could be from 1 to I played with as many as about 10 players, okay, competing for that rebound or the missed ball. Whoever gets the ball, boom, you go for your basket. And that when you scores that basket from the floor, then you get the foul shot, the free throw, right? And so you do that all the way up to 21. But the point is this: that game is like a battle royal. And when that shot goes up, your job is to get the ball. Period. If you don't get the rebound, you won't touch the ball. Okay? You don't touch the ball. It's about getting your own rebound. And that is an art. That is a hard thing to do and learn. That's what I'm saying. He competed against bigger guys on that floor to routinely get 10, 12, 13 rebounds. And to average that for an 82 game season over multiple seasons, that was awesome. The great Russell Westbrook. You know, our is he didn't get to win that championship. You know, that's elusive. You know, but like I said, uh, I don't necessarily measure great players based on them winning a championship. Like I said, a team championship. There are individual greats, but their teams did not win. Okay, they had some great teams with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They came up short. They lost to some great teams. Golden State Warriors in the conference finals. I think that the year they made the finals and lost, I think the Heat. I think that's who they succumbed to in the NBA finals. He had great teams. You know about those: LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Udonis Haslam. You know, so I'm not taking anything away from him for not winning the championship. You know, all I saw when I saw Russell Westbrook play was a ball player who went out there and gave 200% effort every single night. Whether he had a bad shooting night or, you know, his defense may not have been up to par or whatever. Even in his last years with the Lakers, when a lot of people start coming down on him, you know, it's part of it was the process was him aging and a lot of injuries, you know, taking a toll over a long basketball career. Part of it was just he just always stayed that same player. He always stayed that same player. And we looked at it different. Well, I didn't, but people looked at it different with him being on the same team as a LeBron James, and they just didn't click well enough together to allow the Lakers to go to that next level, at least not while he was there. So, you know, but props to him. You know, I enjoyed him. Even, I guess his last year's season was with the Sacramento Kings. I enjoyed him then. He left it all out there then. You know, so props to him. You're gonna miss him. The haters, believe me, the haters are gonna miss him. They're gonna miss Russell Westbrook. You know, because in all honesty, there's not many players out there that give that type of effort. I'm not saying they don't go out and ball out and leave it out all out there, but Westbrook was one of them players. And you saw that he was gonna leave it all out there, and he was just a joy to watch to me. You know, I don't care how anybody else feels. He just was a joy to watch to me. So, you know, Russ, we're gonna miss you, brother. I'm gonna miss you. You know, I'm gonna miss you. So I just wanted to get that out of the way first. Secondly, y'all smell it? Y'all smell that grass? Or artificial turf nowadays? It ain't that grass like fucking not the grass you smoke, not that gas. It ain't that skunk. It's artificial turf. It's NFL season. It's NFL season, preseason getting underway. They're getting warmed up, you know, and I'm starting to get my juices, you know, a little flowing a little bit about the NFL season. You know, I'm still, you know, just downloading a lot of other things, the basketball season just ended. Is the you got baseball going on. My Dodgers, they slumped a little bit here lately, but they still, to me, the best team in baseball. They still gonna be the damn team, the damn fuck with damn 2-time back-to-back World Series champions. You understand? So you got that. The pennant race is heating up. It's the most wonderful time of the year. NBA season is just around the corner. The NBA schedule is about to come out. I think they just announced a day or two ago, opening night, October 20th. LeBron with his new team, the 76ers, go into New York on their ring night, opening night, October 20th. Mark that date on your calendar. Let's go get it. New York fans, I know Madison Square Garden will be rocking. I mean, thumping. I'm talking about 80 fucking 7 hip hop style, Rakim shit. On some Rakim shit. 87 ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? That's how the Garden gonna be rocking on that opening night, that ring night. I can't. LeBron coming to town with the 76ers. Jaylen Brown, who's now a 76er. They're gonna be rocking the Knicks, the Garden. Shit, they might open up the season with an L. Goddamn, we're gonna see. So it like I said, the NFL preseason. My favorite team is the Carolina Panthers. I'm not a cheerleader, but I am excited about, how they're gonna do this season. Bryce Young really came on at the end of last year, leading them to the playoffs. Got a W in the playoffs. He's coming on. T. McMillan, he's one of the best young receivers in the league, gonna assert himself even more. They got a good running game. Chuba Hubbard. Hey, defense, Derrick Brown, probably the best defensive tackle in the league. The secondary was a little banged up last year, but I think J.C. Horn is can lead that secondary, and I'm gonna see what the Panthers are like. It's a couple of good teams out there. In the NFL, is always a fucking, a 32 team crapshoot, because first the worst is like that. NFL is like probably the most difficult league to predict from the beginning who's going to win that Super Bowl title, because over that 17 game season, there are a lot of injuries in football, so that changes the landscape instantly. It could be week 1, boom, you could be without just the best player in the league for the season. They say, check out, for instance, we got Patrick Mahomes, but he was hurt late in the year with the Chiefs. They're expecting him back opening day, but it's still a little feel. How is he going to look? Is he going to be a little gimpy or what? We can't speak for that. What's going to be his comfort zone playing coming off an injury, so psychologically, that would have to have an effect. Michael Parsons also with the Packers, who's probably was the best defensive player in football prior to his injury late in the season last year, after being traded from the Cowboys to the Packers. I mean, he was wreaking havoc on quarterbacks, but he's down. And he probably won't be back for at least probably like the first maybe 6 weeks of the season, maybe, if not longer. And how's he's going to look when he comes back? Yes, the Packers are a Super Bowl contender with Love and other great players, Parsons coming back. Let's see. Let's look out for that. We got the rookie Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza coming with the Raiders. Last seen kicking ass in the national championship game for Indiana. So how's he gonna look with the Raiders? I think the Raiders in that division, AFC West, that's a tough division with the Chargers, Chiefs, and Broncos. It's a tough fight for him there. But I don't think the Raiders are a bad team. I mean, not dismal. I guess playing in that division against those teams, but they've got talent. They've got talent. They can very well be a 500 ball club. And I'm not putting all of this on Mendoza either. Brock Bowers, he got a good tight end. So they have some talent there. They have some talent. Who else is out there? Like I said, team, I'm getting ready to the Cowboys, everybody always talking about them. Dak, Pickens, they got Pickens signed on his deal, I guess, franchise deal. They've got talent as usual. The Detroit Lions with Jared Goff, the Rams with Stafford picking up Myles Garrett, last year's Defensive Player of the Year. Record-breaking sack artist for most sacks in the season last year. What was it, 23? And there's talk of Aaron Donald coming back. Got a good running game, Kyron Williams. And they still didn't win their division. Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champions. Once upon a time, everybody was saying, Sam Darnold, done cast him off as a scrub. But he's still a young quarterback. He got with the right team. Got a great receiver in Jigba. Good defense. So you always got to keep your eye on them. The team they beat in the Super Bowl, the Patriots. Drake May. Continuing his ascent. Some people say they play the easy schedule. I don't really get into that. You play who's on the schedule. They went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they got the ass kicked. But they didn't get there by being a goddamn lily pad. They got there because they were a good team. I look for improvement with the Jets. Geno Smith. Yeah, they were horrible. I don't understand how you can go a season without intercepting a pass, but hell, they did. Now let's turn that thing around. They could be a 500 team. Like you said, you never know how the break's going to go in the NFL. One injury can change the whole league. I mean, the whole league. You know, we always talk about how the Bengals start off slow. Last year, you know, Burrow missed over half the season. And for me personally, you know, I love Burrow. He's been to a Super Bowl. He has those, to me, the best receiver combination in the league, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. The defense haven't been all that, but hey, they made a few changes. You know, they let Trey Hendrickson walk. Or they traded him. But they got Dexter Lawrence. Added a couple more pieces. We never know what the season gonna hold. Stay with us. Stay with me. Subscribe. I'm gonna be with y'all more often. You know, talking about this, talking about that. Holla. Sean Terry. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I love it.